Hey there people, it's Fresh Mark sent to another fresh review, aka Zest for Life. Today I'll be talking about refreshing fragrances that are uplifting, revitalizing. We are staying away from blue fragrances, but I will have one blue fragrance in there that I just have to mention that is always in the run-up for the most refreshing and revitalizing fragrance. And I'm going to get straight into it with the first one, which is a green fragrance that you may have heard of before, which is Jimmy Choo Man Blue. Now, when I want that pine-like, airy freshness, that green freshness with the woods, leather and sandalwood, it's very versatile in that anyone could wear it because it's masculine, fresh. The bergamot in the top with sage keeps it uplifting, revitalizing like a breath of fresh air. Very in the first instance you get the green pine-like woods, then you get the leather. The sage comes after as a sort of almost herbal green freshness, and I think that's what keeps it uplifting. And then we get some sandalwood, vanilla, black pepper in the top note. Sandalwood and vanilla, more of a soft rounding smooth note. The vanilla is not so much present, but more in the dry down after about 4 hours. But definitely it's a pine-like, fresh, woody and slightly peppery, aromatic, herbal opening with that pine, cypress actually. It's actually cypress that gives the pine-like freshness with leather in the heart notes. So definitely check out Jimmy Choo Man Blue. The notes are at the back and you can check that out at Fragrantica if I missed something. Next, onto something a little bit more dry but more citrus fresh and quite sharp. I really like this Bois de Yuzu by Karl Lagerfeld. Is a fantastically zesty citrus fragrance. It has quite a short longevity, but a lot of citrus fragrances are quite like that. The longevity of this is about, I could judge it between 5, maximum 7 hours on the skin, but closer to the 5. And the longevity of projection in the opening is about 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours before it dies down and gets closer to skin. But that's just my skin. So zesty, fresh, lemon, bergamot. The wind is picking up, so I can smell it everywhere actually. And then you have that yuzu, which makes it citric, sharp, and a little bit leafy green. So it's almost, it doesn't have a minty characteristic because that would be geranium, but the zesty, sweet freshness of lemon, bergamot, and yuzu together. I think it has a bit of pink pepper in it too. And it has a very nice vetiver in the base with a dry, woody note. So light, fresh, dry, woody, and very citrusy, zingy freshness in the top note. So definitely check that one out if you want a cheap summer fragrance. You can wear this for winter, but I think this will be fantastic for formal wear with an office suit attire, just something smart, very slick, because it doesn't project for too long or project bodaciously. You wouldn't be smelling like a forest or some sort of green smoky incense or anything. But it does have some sweet bergamot and yuzu in it to keep it zesty, fresh, and very clean with the dry wood. So that's why I recommended it for formal wear with a suit. Fantastic. Bois de Yuzu by Karl Lagerfeld. 50ml, you can get that for about £20, £21. And another one, if you want something a little bit fruity, different, yet at the same time it has a clean, sparkling freshness to it that is very revitalizing, in my opinion. Homme Lacoste Timeless. Now, Timeless is a little bit different from the Homme Lacoste Intense, which has mandarin and it has a similar woody base, but it's slightly more darker and fizzy with the mandarin and yuzu note. It doesn't seem to have that uplifting note that I experience in Karl Lagerfeld Bois de Yuzu. So I gave that away, and I decided to keep this because the bergamot in here mixed with raspberry gives a very I don't want to say zingy freshness, but the acidic freshness of raspberry mixed with creamy bergamot, and it has almost like a metallic note to it. It still has the dry akigala wood, which is slightly herbal and oak mossy. Akigala wood is a synthetic note based on the smell of oud wood and patchouli mixed together. So it's dry, sweet, slightly bitter. The herbal aspect comes into it. I think it's got a black tea note, which really grounds down the fragrance. Grounds it from being too fruity and more like a fruit salad. It does have a strong, not too much of a strong base, but I think the airy, dry, woody base allows the freshness of the fruit to remain sparkling and revitalizing, whilst having some sort of masculine touch to it as well with the wood. So it has jasmine in it as well. That is one note that I did miss. Jasmine is a prominent feature in the Lacoste Homme line. Is in the intense and the timeless, but with this I think it retains its airiness rather than being dumbed down with the black pepper and mandarin that is in the top note of the Lacoste Le Homme Intense. So this is a little bit more airy, fresh, revitalizing, and I think it's also good for the office, but a little bit too, it's kind of smart casual actually. The dry down is clean and fresh and sweet, but the top note is a little bit too fruity for the office place. I think it's a bit too playful, but it's a great sport fragrance, a great smart casual fragrance. A little bit too fruity and playful for the office, but I think it's great in the dry down in its woody, airy freshness. Lacoste Le Homme Timeless. So check that out for casual, smart casual, and well, you know, maybe sport wear, and something slightly more rich and timeless in its airy green and relaxing. Is it Lilith? No, it's not Lilith. That's something else completely. It's a lilac with something like Liatra, I believe it's called. And hyssop. Hyssop is a predominant feature in Equipage by Hermes. So there's hyssop, tarragon, marjoram, which gives it a bitter, a sweet green freshness. Let's say actually, it's not bitter green. That's more artemisia. I'd say marjoram is more green, fresh, sweet. Very old school note marjoram. Let me just spray this on an area that I haven't sprayed. Yeah. So you get the sandalwood in the base. It does actually come out very early in this fragrance, so it makes it creamy, airy, soft, mixing with the green notes, very grassy, vetiver. It's not too sour because there is a touch of tarragon in there, which gives it some green sweetness, with the marjoram, which is slightly spicy. There is a slight note of cardamom in here, but I think the greenness of oak moss overrides it, and stops it from being a spicy herbal fragrance. It does have that aromatic herbal green, walking in the fields like freshness to it, because it has a note of aldehyde, which is similar to being in very thin air. So that freshness of aldehydes mixed with marjoram, a little bit of tarragon, some cardamom, and the green nature of oak moss makes this a very soft, creamy, herbaceous and refreshing scent for somebody who would like something that wouldn't project out and force yourself upon somebody. It has a relaxing note of hyssop and lilac in here, which gives that feeling of walking in the fields. It's sort of a soft projecting gentlemanly fragrance that has an aromatic green fresh touch to it. Equipage by Hermes is fantastic if you don't want to throw yourself on somebody, but you want to project a sense of calm, wear something for yourself, and just relax when you're wearing a fragrance, and wear it casually yet retain an air of class at the same time. So a fantastically green, fresh, sweet, slightly creamy with the sandalwood, and generally a great gentlemanly casual fragrance for summer. But you can also wear it for winter, but the projection of it would be about quite close to the body, for about let's say this doesn't project the most. 4 hours longevity in terms of projection, 3 to 4 hours, closer to 3, and then for the skin it would last about 3 hours longer. So you'd get about 6 hours longevity out of this fragrance and 4 hours projection maximum. So check out Equipage if you want something for yourself which is herbaceous, fresh, and timeless. And on to another timeless classic which I hope never gets out of style in the summer. Something with a honey note, but it mixes the honey with lily of the valley. Lily of the valley is a predominant note in Jaipur or Homme eau de parfum. There is an eau de toilette of this, but I decided to review the eau de parfum because that's the one that I have and that's the one that I love. I find that the eau de toilette is a little bit powdery, slightly dated, and the eau de parfum is a more renovated version of that. So I think that if this was to be released nowadays, it would go for quite a high price because it has a very classy, smooth, refreshing, dew-like lily of the valley note. So that reminds you of dew droplets in the morning. The honey-like freshness is almost like a field, similar to Equipage, but sweeter, more resinous in the base with benzoin, Peru balsam, and vanilla, slight touch of vanilla. There's some cinnamon in here as well, but it never becomes a gourmand fragrance, but it does have a similar touch to El Born by Carna Barcelona, which I was lucky enough to test in the Wimbledon's Ely's. Just, you gotta represent where you're from. But so they had El Born, and that was green, fresh, sweet, had that honey note with the Angelica on top. So very soft, creamy, green and fresh. But this goes in a more honeyed and dewy, fresh direction. It smells like it does have aldehydes, but that's just the airiness of this fragrance because the honey note is not suffocating. There are quite a few other fragrances I can mention, like Kouros and the like, arguably, that has a suffocating honey note which is too strong, too projecting, and it hits you in the face because it's unusual in the air. But I think that this perfume softens the honey note with the lily of the valley. And what other green notes does it have? I think it just has a general green notes. Actually, it says in Fragrantica. It doesn't specify, but let me spray this again to get a little feel for it. As I'm dousing myself with perfume because I am missing half the time too. Okay, lily of the valley comes out with the honey. You get some green notes. The vanilla is a slight theme that it gets stronger as you go along, and it gets more resinous and sweet with the benzoin and balsam with vanilla. And the cinnamon is that connecting note that really makes that transfer possible without being overbearing and suffocating. So cinnamon in the middle is that beautifully soft, powdery note that keeps it sweet and sparkling throughout its wear. Jaipur Eau de Parfum. Check that one out if you want something refreshing, sweet, honeyed, and reminding you of a summer walk in the park with honey blossoms. Honey blossom is local to Wandsworth and England, and they come out in summer, and it does smell like honey blossom with the mixture of honey, cinnamon, Peru balsam, and the vanilla in the base. So fantastically sweet and fresh. Jaipur Homme EDP. Next, I cannot go through a list of refreshing perfumes without mentioning this blue perfume. Sauvage Eau de Toilette, the grandfather of a lot of blue perfumes that try to imitate, but they don't seem to get that peppery freshness. I mean, a lot of there is some violet concoctions, there's lots of sandalwood concoctions. This does have sandalwood, this has pepper, but it has qualities of a traditional barbershop in its lavender note. But the ambroxan keeps it sweet, creamy, fresh. Sandalwood keeps it rich and suitable for formal wear with a suit because it has that clean edge with it. The pepper is pronounced and really expresses yourself in the room. When you come in, everybody knows that you're wearing Sauvage Eau de Toilette. It is a recognizable scent for the reason that people have had a great time wearing it and felt, oh wow, the wind is blowing in my face and Sauvage is going everywhere. So the lavender, vanilla, almost like an artemisia, like spicy freshness is happening with the mix of green herbaceous notes with pepper, and the green herbaceous nature, it does remind me of Prada Luna Rossa Black. So there are a lot of fragrances that smell like this, but they don't have a complete nature of the original Eau de Toilette that still retains so much character in this day and age. It's recognizable, yet it's a scent of soft lavender, masculine pepper, sweet and creamy ambroxan mixed with the sandalwood. Is a fantastically unique combination at the time, yet it has stood the test of time because of its freshness with the bergamot on top. The bergamot is bolstered in its creaminess by the ambroxan and sandalwood, and it's made sweeter at the same time by the dry down of the ambroxan and the softness of lavender. So all in all, this is a fragrance that has stood the test of time for being revitalizing and fresh. I'd recommend you guys to go to your local store and check out Sauvage Eau de Toilette. I'm not getting paid to say this, but just remember what the original Eau de Toilette smelled like, because you got the perfume, which is mystifying with elmy, a cloudy green, a lot more green than this, but this retains its peppery freshness, and that's more of a green smokiness with more vanilla. But it's always great to go back to the original and smell it for yourself, just to see the evolution of it and see where do you really fit and which one you prefer. Let me know what you think in the comment section, which Sauvage is your favorite. I personally bought all three of them in 200ml because I think all of them are timeless classics in their own way, and although they are frustratingly similar, they are worth a buy in their own right. So check it out, stay free and stay fresh.